Lichtenstein was born on October 27, 1923 in New York City. He gained an interest in art and jazz at an early age, despite his school not having an art program. Out of high school, Roy went to study at Ohio State University. His education was interrupted as he went to fight in World War II from 1943 to 1946. He then went back to Ohio State to get his degree in fine arts. In 1951, he moved to Cleveland, but spent a lot of his time in New York as well. He moved back in 1959. Most of his art is close, but not exact replications of comic book panels. Some people refer to Roy Lichtenstein's paintings as flat, incomprehensible tracings of quite sophisticated images. However, Roy's idea was that the art of today is all around us. In the 70s and 80s, Roy was combining other previous works of art into his larger-scale scenes. Sometimes his art touched on a more surreal topic. He also made many plastic and metal sculptures and over 300 prints. In 1989, Roy's painting Torpedoes Los was sold for $5.5 million, making him one of only 3 living artists to ever make that much money. Roy died of pneumonia in 1997 and was survived by his second wife, Dorothy, and his 2 sons, David and Mitchell.
Whimsical paintings based on cartoons, witty sculptures, prints that remind us of famous paintings with a commercial twist, images so familiar to us today it's nearly impossible to believe they were once considered quite shocking. So shocking that in 1964, Life magazine wondered if the artist who created them, Roy Lichtenstein, was quite possibly the worst artist in the U.S. That's not a question anymore.
The 1964 Lichtenstein at $30 million, $31 million.
This is Christie's auction house in November. When the dust settled, one of Lichtenstein's pieces named, Oh, All Right, did more than all right. It sold for nearly $43 million. $43 million, a record. Lichtenstein himself would find that shocking.
He used to say he was amazed that people would actually pay for what he called used canvas. So, my mother calls this her giant chia pet.
And this?
This is sculpture, brushstroke sculpture.
In fact, Roy Lichtenstein may be more popular today than ever, says his youngest son, Mitchell, who walked us through the sculpture garden on the roof of his father's old New York studio.
I think people appreciate the humor, and I think they see more in it as time goes by.
Mitchell, an actor and movie director, admits that he didn't always appreciate his father's work either.
Kids talked about what their father did, and I thought, well, my father doesn't really have a job. And it was weird to say artist because that wasn't really a job.
But that also meant he was around more often than a lot of dads.
There was always something really fun to do in the studio.
I'll try a light blue on this. I don't think I've...
Mitchell says his father, seen here in his Manhattan studio in 1992, worked every day, stopping for lunch promptly at 1, and never suffered for his art.
He didn't have demons that kept him from working like many artists. He just loved what he did and felt very,
When
grateful to be able to
Lichtenstein
do it.
burst onto the New York scene back in the early 1960s, tough guy abstract expressionists like Willem de Kooning and Jackson Pollock, splattering their emotions all over the canvas, were the rage. Lichtenstein replaced their heat with his cool.
Those who had a negative reaction to his art, their main argument was, this is not art.
Isabelle Dervaux is the curator of an exhibit of Lichtenstein's early drawings, which originated at the Morgan Library in New York this fall and opened last Thursday in Vienna, Austria. She says that Lichtenstein, along with artists Robert Rauschenberg and Andy Warhol, turned images from popular culture into art. Its name, pop art.
Throughout the art history, when an artist brings something so radically new, some people don't see it.
Well, taking a look at some of Lichtenstein's earliest work, you can see their point. A couch? A BB gun? Not traditional subjects for art.
There's different levels of humor. There's the humor of just making a Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse, lifting it into another realm of art.
Take this very simple drawing of a hand tracing the outline of a foot.
Inspired by a diagram from a mail order catalog for shoes. So it's a very practical kind of drawing.
And nobody thinks of that as art.
Exactly.
Lichtenstein's work became more complex over the years, says his son, as he continued to question how we see the world.
Like, for example, that is the nose. But it's just a parentheses and an apostrophe, or, but we immediately accept it as a nose. But why? I mean, why do we accept those two lines as a nose?
While his art today is worth millions, you don't have to have a lot of money to appreciate it. There are Lichtensteins at the airport in Columbus, Ohio, in Miami, and beneath Times Square in the subway of New York. All you have to do is look up.
It should be right up there. Yes?
This mural right below 42nd Street was a gift from Roy Lichtenstein to the city's Arts for Transit program.
Do you know how many times I've walked by this and have never really thought about it?
You're always just trying not to bump into people, and you're trying to get to your destination.
So like his father, says Mitchell Lichtenstein, to use clean, futuristic images to gently poke fun at the chaos of reality below.
Mitchell, do you notice that whenever you talk about your father or your father's work, you just smile? You naturally smile.
It makes me smile. I think it makes people